the politicians who may get fired for betraying the American people. Well, the Senate right now gearing up to debate President Trump's one big, beautiful bill. It is the one, of course, that passed the House by a razor-thin majority and now faces challenges in the Senate over debt increase and perceived wasteful spending. Pleased to bring in right now a GOP senator who's drawing a red line on the Trump mega bill. Great to have you, as always. Welcome to Newsline. Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson. It's good to have you today, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
Now, you know, you are a big supporter of President Trump, but there are things in the bill that you are calling out. And you say in one of your quotes here, you're saying things that people know need to be said. Do you think Elon's doing the same thing with the words he's posting on X?
Well, again, I do support President Trump. I want to see him succeed. I also sprang out of the Tea Party movement in 2010, doing parades shouting, this is a fight for freedom. We're mortgaging our children's future. It's wrong. It's immoral. It has to stop. Back then, we were $14 trillion in debt. Now we're $37 trillion in debt. And unfortunately, again, I always knew you couldn't rush this process. You couldn't do everything that needs to be done in one bill. We need to split this out. I still believe that. And I think the substance of the bill proves me right. My latest chart, and I've been providing my colleagues a lot of information, different ways of addressing a pre-pandemic level spending and returning to it. But my latest chart shows average deficits by presidential term. And if you look at it, you've got George W. Bush had over 8 years, about $250 billion average deficit. Barack Obama came into office, bumped that up to $1.3 trillion in his first term. And then the Tea Party movement forced him into discipline, averaged about 550 in his last 4 years. President Trump came in, had to deal with Democrats, and so his bumped up to 810. Then he had COVID, $3.1 trillion deficit. Now, responsible leadership would have returned to certainly no more than 800 billion, hopefully closer to $500 billion, or even balance the budget. Well, that's not what President Biden and Democrats did. They averaged $1.9 trillion in deficits over 4 years. And here's the problem. According to CBO's latest projection, $22 trillion in additional deficits over the next 10 years, $2.2 trillion average. We can't accept that as the new normal. We can't. Right. And the big, beautiful bill does nothing to bend that.
And I'm sorry we didn't have your charts on hand here, because I know you had them all buttoned up here. You know, Speaker Johnson says he doesn't disagree with you. I mean, the issue really is, you know, they think the tax cuts will rein in the deficit, where a lot of folks, including yourself, don't really see that. You know, but Elon's rhetoric saying in November, we're going to fire all the politicians who betrayed the American people. So then it kind of brings it up to the fact that, you know, we're going to try to have some type of take it out on, instead of finding a way to bring it to fruition for the president. And that's where a lot of people are saying, well, can you get this done? Is there a path forward, Senator, on getting this to the president's desk by July 4th?
If we split this up, I think we can easily do the first part by July 4th, you know, the basic things, border, defense, you know, bank the savings, you know, based on the good work of the House, extend current tax law, take an automatic tax increase off the table, provide that certainty to the economy, increase the debt limit to give us about a year to go to work on the hard stuff of actually returning to a reasonable pre-pandemic level spending. Again, we can't accept this massive deficit, this growing debt as a new normal. We have to fix it. This is our moment. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We can't expect to hold the midterms and do it next time. This is the time to do it. And I'm going to do everything I can to bring facts and figures into this debate. We've been largely absent that over the last few months.
You and others have been very clear about, yes, this being a moment here to have it happen. And Rand Paul also speaking against the bill as well. You know, you mentioned the CBO, and just obviously, too, they do a lot of fear mongering. You know, they're talking about, you know, millions, almost 10 million are going to lose coverage in Medicare. And, you know, Caroline Leavitt also clarified yesterday that the Congressional Budget Office is partisan political. They don't contribute to Republicans. They haven't contributed since the year 2000. You know, Stephen Miller calls them the lefty CBO. So some of the claims that they make, you would agree with, are also not on the money.
Well, so I'm not a real fan of their static scoring. But again, the 10-year projections, they're projections, but they're pretty much hard to dispute. Interest is $1 trillion. We're spending more on that in defense. Over the next 10 years, they estimate that to be about $13.8 trillion. if interest rates are at 3.3%.